In the previous lecture, we took a simple example and talked about basics of user-defined function. Now let us do some experiment and do some real work. So here I took arg1 and arg2 as my argument name. So basically here I am taking a random name. You can take any name, there is no restriction. So even if I pass here A and pass B, there would be no change. All I have to do is just pass A and B properly. So that simply means when I am calling this function here, this particular 10 value will be assigned to A when we are executing, and this particular 30 value will be assigned to B. And then the complete program, that is the complete code inside this sumf function, will be executed according to the value of A as 10 and the B as 30. The second thing is why we are calling it as parameter. If I have a task to write a function to print name and age, so my parameter here will be name and my second parameter would be age, and my argument will be the name that I am passing, so that can be Shubham, and the second argument will be my age. And if I want to print that, all I have to do is pass my name here and the second thing is my age. Let's run this one. Now you can see the result. So here parameters are name and age and my argument is Shubham and 22. This is one of the most confusing thing about parameters and argument. So you just need to take it simply. Now let us talk about how to return some values from a function. So we have created a function. Now what if we want to return the value? We don't want to do this print all thing, because function is usually called to get some result, not to display result directly. So they are used to process some task, and usually function return these value through a return keyword. If I take a task to write a program to add two numbers and get return from them, so what I am going to do is write a function, take number 1 that is n1, take my number 2 that is n2. All I have to do is take c as a variable, add these two numbers, and then I will return it using just a return keyword and then pass my variable. So the thing is going to happen is it is not going to print anything. Whenever we are going to call this function, it will only return the value into that function only. And to print that value, to store that value, we need a separate variable. Let me pass some values here. And if I run this function now, you can see I haven't got any result because the value is carried by this function only. I need to store that value into a variable. So if I take a variable num, now the result is stored in this particular num variable. And if I print num now, you can see I got my result 30. So that's how things work with return. So whenever I am going to use a return, I need to store that value into a variable, and then with the variable I can do anything. Here I use that variable to print. I can directly pass this operation in my return itself. So let me do that and try to clean this up and run the program. You can see I still got same result. So that means I can utilize return in a better manner and reduce the redundancy. Okay, I hope things going well. Let us do some tasks and understand things in a better manner. So write a program that include a function and the function accepts two values. Now the values can be int, string or float or any other value. So if the data type of both the values are same, then we need to concatenate or add them. If both values are string, we need to concatenate them. And if both values are integer, we need to add them. And if both the data types are not same, we have to show some error or show some message to the user. I hope that's pretty clear. Now let me clear this up and take the approach from the scratch. So we have to write a function that would basically do sum of two things. It can be concatenation or addition. So I will be keeping my function name as sum. I'm going to get two input, so I can use simple names. Now once we get two input, we need to check if the data type is same or not. So here I am using if condition to check if both the data types are same. And if that is the case, I can return the value of their addition. Else what I can do is I can return a message regarding that these data type are not same. Now what I have to do is I have to call this particular function. So just call this, and we need to pass two arguments. So let me take my name first. Remember, I am using return. So while using return, I have to store this particular function value into a variable and then print it. Or I can just use this particular value inside a print. So let us do in a simple manner. I hope things looks easy. Let me change this one so it would not be confusing. Let me run this one. Okay, I got my name correctly, but I have to add a space. That is fine. Let me pass two numbers. Yeah, it worked. I got my result. But what if I try to pass one string and one integer? Let me do that also. Now let me run this one. You can see I got a message that data type are different. So yeah, my program is working fine. So the motive of this lecture was to make you understand that I can use different type of conditions, loops inside my function, and how return works exactly. So I don't need to contain variables, too many variables to increase my code structure. So instead of doing that, I can directly use return at different stages. Also, you might be having a thought that why I am not printing directly here. So it would have decreased my code size. But the thing is, whenever we start writing long functions, it is a better practice to return thing instead of printing at that particular point. Because when you are going to debug the code, it would be hell difficult if your function is of 300 lines of code or 200 lines of code. You have to search a lot of things. So a good practice to follow, just return things. Once you get the result in a particular function, store that in a variable and print things. So in the next lecture, we are going to do more about functions. See you in the next one.